What is happening, YouTube? It's Matt Faircloth. Thank you for watching today's YouTube video. I've got a good friend of mine and an exciting interview today with a good friend of mine named Jay Scott. I know you guys all know Jay Scott. Jay's going to talk to us about some really exciting stuff, and he is a master of fix and flips, master of a lot of things. Somebody I really look up to for a lot of the stuff that he puts out on Facebook and on Bigger Pockets and everything like that. But today's conversation is going to be on fix and flips because Jay has gotten great, not good. He has gotten great at fix and flips. He's also been kind enough to share what he's learned about fix and flips with all of us through his books and a lot of his Facebook posts and his articles on Bigger Pockets and everything like that. So I'm grateful to call Jay Scott a friend of mine, and he has graciously agreed to come on this channel today to share some thoughts and learnings with you. So Jay, welcome to our YouTube channel today. Thank you for your time.
Hey Matt, how's it going? Thrilled to be here.
Cool. Awesome. So Jay, I should let people know that this is not your normal place for business and everything like that. You look like you're just chilling out on your couch on a Sunday afternoon about to watch the game. That's not the case. Tell us what's going on with you right now that you're just chilling out on your couch.
Yeah, about 20 minutes ago, I was setting up for this interview, and I heard a loud boom in my backyard.
Uh-oh.
And I looked out, and either a transformer blew or a tree fell on some power lines, and we are out of power. I'm guessing we're going to be out of power for a while now. And I don't know if people can see, but we are in the middle of a severe ice storm. So I just found the most well-lit place in my house and grabbed my phone, and we're going to improvise here.
Yeah, no, and Jay, you're a gamer. Thank you for improvising and making it work anyway. I hope your arm doesn't get tired here in that. But so thank you. That's why Jay is sitting on his couch with us today and everything like that, because he's a gamer and wants to continue to contribute to you guys and give you some good knowledge. So thank you, Jay, for continuing to agree to do this. So as I said, you are an active fix and flipper. You've learned a ton about fix and flips. You put a lot of what you've learned out into your books. There is a misconception that I've seen around fix and flips in the marketplace, meaning that people think fix and flips are, I don't want to do, for whatever the reason is, I don't want to do that. I want to focus on rentals. And so they've compared the two as something like, I don't want to do this, I want to do this. What are your thoughts on that? And maybe if they're wrong about it, why?
Yeah, I love this conversation. So not a day goes by that I don't get an email or a phone call or a text or somebody wants to grab lunch and they ask the question, I want to get into real estate, should I be fix and flipping or should I be buying rentals? And what I have to explain to people is that's not the decision you should be making. Saying should I fix and flip versus buy rentals, that's like saying should I go to the movies or should I wash my dog? They're not alternatives. So the way I like to think about it is active income versus passive income. So active income is that thing, it's what you trade your time for. And fix and flip, it's not passive income. It's really hard to put a fix and flip business on autopilot. Mm-hmm. So when you're comparing fix and flip to something, it's not rental properties. You should be comparing fix and flip to, should I be trading my time for fix and flip, or should I be trading my time in a 9-to-5 job? Should I be trading my time for money consulting? Should I be trading my time for whatever else it might be? So I like to compare fix and flip to all other forms of active income. We all know what active income is. I mean, you can go to a job every day, you can start a business, you can play the lottery, you can play poker for a living, whatever it is, it's the thing that you're trading your time for money. Yeah. And then the question is fix and flip the right choice for your active income? Should you be fix and flipping versus having a 9-to-5 job, or in addition to having a 9-to-5 job, or as opposed to starting a consulting business or starting an internet marketing business, whatever it is you're going to trade your time for? Is it the thing you should be using your time for? Then, ever you're using to generate that active income, then figure out what you're going to do with that active income to have it multiply, to have it grow. And that's where the passive side of things comes in. And so I make a whole bunch of money, whether it's flipping houses, whether it's working a job, whether it's consulting, whether it's writing books, whatever it is I'm doing to earn that active income. I then take that active income and I find a home for it where it can multiply and grow in a passive format. Mm-hmm. And so then I need to be asking myself, do I want to put that money into rental properties? Do I want to put that money into, do I want to lend? Do I want to invest in the stock market or bonds or treasury bonds? Or do I want to buy racehorses? Or do I want to invest in businesses? Something else that's passive. So I should be comparing the fix and flip to all the other alternatives I have for active income, and then compare rental properties for all the other alternatives I have for passive income. And then you take that active income, however you're generating it, and you put it into the passive income, however you're generating it. So when people ask me, should I be flipping houses or should I be doing rentals? My first question to them is, are you looking for something to trade your time for money? Are you looking for active income? Or are you looking for something to put your money into passively and have it grow?
Yeah.
And if they say they're looking for active income, I say, well, then think about fix and flip versus all the other types of passive income. If they're looking for, versus active income, excuse me. If they're looking for passive income, then I say then consider rental properties versus all the other alternatives on the passive side. And if somebody says, I'm looking to do both, I'm looking for active income and passive income, well, then there's no reason why you can't be doing fix and flips at the same time that you're doing rentals.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. That's really interesting. And it's a few comments I have, right? First of all, I think it's really funny that the examples you gave, a lot of which are things that you've done. I happen to know that about you, and that you've played poker professionally. You own a racehorse, or did own a racehorse. You've traded stocks. You've done a lot of those things. I appreciate you speaking personally for a lot of that stuff, and you've experienced a lot of those things. I can't help but bring it up because I just think you're a pretty interesting dude, and that you actually have done a lot of that stuff that you put out there that some people might think are pretty outlandish. You've actually tried some of that stuff for yourself. So
yeah, I mean, if I had to break it down the way I do things, I have active income and I have passive income. And on the active side, I write books, I flip houses, I do not a lot of consulting, but here and there I do some consulting. And so that generates the active income that I take and I put in the passive investments.
You don't play poker anymore, do you?
What was that?
Do you play poker anymore professionally?
I don't play poker professionally anymore. I do it as a hobby. I certainly don't rely on that income anymore.
Right. That's a rough relying on the income. So going back to what we had said, but what you had said about, should, like, somebody's facing that crossroads, or facing that fork in the road about, should I get into fix and flips? Should I try something else? Should I, maybe quit my job, whatever it is, to go to fix and flips? A couple of questions should they be asking themselves? Like, what do you think are the characteristics that a good fix and flipper should have, that when they look themselves in the mirror to decide if they really want to get into this game or not? What's something you think that's just an absolute imperative trait that they should see? Or are there specific traits you think that they should have?
Absolutely. So this is something I've been preaching for 10 years now. I'm not a real estate guy. Everybody thinks I'm a real estate guy. They think I'm like, I know everything there is to know about real estate. I know very little about real estate. You don't want me walking into your house and picking up a hammer and trying to do any renovations. You don't necessarily want me like being the guy that like is out there scoping out a new construction or development. What I'm good at, and what I think a lot of investors need to get good at, is being able to manage and run a business. Because real estate, I know a lot of people think of real estate as investing, but when you're fix and flipping, again, it's not passive income. It's active income. You're running a business. And it doesn't matter if you're flipping one house a year or 50 houses a year, you're running a business. Mm-hmm. You need to be able to do the same things that all good business owners need to do. You need to worry about how you're going to acquire your inventory. And for real estate, for fix and flippers, our inventory is houses. But it's really no different than if we ran a business that was buying and selling shoes, or Amazon buying and selling books, or a restaurant that's buying and selling food. We're business owners. Our product is houses. So you need to be good at the acquisition side of things. You need to be good at marketing. You need to be good at sales. You need to know how to read and write financial statements. You need to know how to hire people. You need to know how to delegate. You need to understand taxes. You need to understand how to scale a business. You need to understand cash flow and managing cash flow. You need to understand all the things that a business owner in any other business needs to understand. And if you do that really, really well, you don't need to be a great real estate person. I like to talk about the fact that I could go and I feel like I could run a shoe store and do a pretty good job, even though I know nothing about shoes.
Hmm.
I could run a restaurant, even though I don't know much about restaurants. I could run a car wash or a dry cleaner or all these other types of businesses without understanding the underlying products that are being sold because I understand how a business works.
It's funny because what you're saying is that it's very counterintuitive to what a lot of people think that they have to have in their back pocket. Which, if I were to like interview 100 real estate investors that are budding real estate investors and say, what do you think you need to have to get into fix and flips? I guarantee like 50% of the population will probably say a strong knowledge of construction, right? And what you're saying is, and I get in your book you say this too, you don't necessarily have to have a strong knowledge of construction in itself. Why is that?
Because you can
That's a
surround.
myth that's out there. Why is that myth not true?
Yeah, because you should, not only can you, but you should be surrounding yourself with people who know those things. I
Mm,
like to think somebody that tries to be a jack of all trades in their business is going to have a mediocre business because they're never going to be as good as the people that specialize in those things. I want
mm,
to have somebody that specializes in acquisitions because I know they're going to do better than I am, than I will. I'm not an acquisitions guy. I want to have somebody that specializes in rehabs and managing contractors because I'm not a contractor. I'm not a rehab guy. I want to be I want somebody that specializes in marketing and sales because I'm not a marketing and sales expert. What I'm good at is bringing all those pieces together. I'm good at the finance side of things. I'm good at the
yep.
math. I'm good at the spreadsheets. And I know that that's what I'm good at. So I focus my time on that. I focus my time on analyzing deals. I focus my time on designing my business. Again, designing my business. I control how my business grows, what we do. I don't just let my business tell me what it's going to do.
Hmm.
So I work on designing my business. I work on scaling my business. I work on processes. I work on spreadsheets. I work on finance. I raise money because I'm good at raising money.
Yeah.
Uh, so those are the things I focus on. That's what we call the highest and best use of my time,
Hmm.
is doing those things.
Yeah.
And then stuff that I'm not good at, the acquisitions, the marketing, the sales, the managing contractors, the quality management for my rehabs, I hire that stuff out. I find people that are 100 times better than I could be at those things, and I let them do it. So that way I know those pieces of my business are going to be run well.
I think that's one of the keys to success, and in that identifying what your God-given talents are, and saying like, okay, this is what I'm great at. Everything else I either stink at or I'm okay at. But this thing right here, this little slice of the pie, I am great at, and I'm going to focus on that and dive myself in there. Now, there's certain I think that just proficiencies that any business owner has to have. You need to know how to read financial spreadsheets. You need to know how to sell. As any business owner, I don't think you're going to be successful in business if you don't know how to do those two things. You also need to have the courage to be able to fire people, obviously to hire and fire and let people go and stuff like that. You can't delegate those things in that. But aside from that, if you are a great marketer, you can find a way to become the best marketer in your flip business and maybe sub out other things that you're not great at and everything like that. But by no means do you have to be great at construction or understanding contracting or structural, structural relationships in a property or an architectural background, whatever it is. You have to have any of those things. You have to really discover what it is you're great at and find a way to manifest that greatness through your business while you have your core competencies any business owner should have as a foundation, right?
Here's an example I like to use. If I spend, let's say next week, I go out and I spend 40 hours next week working on my business. I spend 20 hours trying to find a great deal. So I'm either marketing myself or I'm networking with wholesalers
Mm-hmm.
or I'm working with agents who are bringing me deals. But I spend 20 straight hours trying to find a great deal. And then I spend 20 hours trying to find money for that deal. So I talk to bankers I know, I talk to some portfolio lenders, I talk to private investors, friends, family, whatever
Yep.
it is. And 20 hours raising money for that deal. And then I hire everything else out. So I hire out a project manager to hire the contractors and to deal with the scope of work and to deal with the budget and to deal with the schedule, to deal with the quality management. I have an agent on the back end who will stage and sell the property. Basically, I'm putting in the 40 hours of work on that property.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I spend another 10 hours of time managing like the spreadsheets and writing checks and things like that. I now have 50 hours into that deal. Let's say I sell that deal and I make a profit of $25,000 on that deal. I just earned $500 an hour for my time. 20 hours net spent finding the deal, 20 hours financing the deal, and then 10 hours actually managing it and dealing with the people that are actually doing all the work. I've made $500 an hour for the 50 hours I spent on that deal. Contrast that to the guy that goes out and says, I'm going to do my own painting.
Yeah.
And I'm going to paint my own house, or I'm going to do the carpentry in my house, or I'm going to do the electrical in my house. And that person spends 50 hours on the project doing painting or electrical or carpentry or whatever. And what they're essentially doing is they're saving the amount of money they would spend on the painter, the electrician, or the carpenter, which might be 20 or 30 or 50 bucks an hour.
Yep.
So that works in their business, the person that actually spends time in the house doing contracting work, they're saving or earning 20 or 30 or $50 an hour.
Yeah.
I'm making $500 an hour by hiring people to do that and then focusing on the high earning tasks in my business, finding money and managing.
Yeah, no, I mean, like focusing on the high income earning tasks is great. And I mean, there's Brandon talked about this on the podcast years ago about focusing, like, finding the biggest, the tasks you can do for the biggest compensation for the amount of time you have to put into it, and focusing on that. So like he talked about, there's activities you can do that you would earn $10,000 an hour for doing a certain activity. Now you might not be able to do it 40 hours a week just yet, but if you can find what the best use of your time is financially for yourself and put as much of yourself into that as you can, then you'll find that, saving yourself $15 an hour for painting a property, even though you know how to do it, doesn't mean you should go out and do that. What I tell people is, if you know how to paint really well, use the knowledge you have on painting to examine and asset manage the work that your painter did. So you should be able to catch what they did wrong. If you know how to do it, you should have an eye for it, but it doesn't mean you need to do it yourself. It just gives you the eye to evaluate those things, but it doesn't give you permission to go out there and start doing the lower dollar per hour stuff, because you'll stunt your growth that way.
I like to do 5 things in my business. I've identified 5 things in my business that generate more than $1,000 an hour for me. And those are the 5 things that I like to do. The first one is, I'm the last person to run the numbers and give a yes or no decision on a property. I can have somebody else bring me a deal. I can have somebody bring me 1,000 deals. I can have somebody run the numbers on those deals and say, this is a good one, this is a bad one. But at the end of the day, I want to be the person that runs the numbers the final time and say, we're doing this deal or not doing this deal.
Yep.
Ultimately, that decision leads to whether you're going to make money or not make money. Mm-hmm. So the first thing
you're not the first person.
I'm running the numbers.
Somebody else, your realtor, your contractor, whatever, your partner, could run those numbers themselves and probably screen out a lot of deals they're evidently bad deals. And so by the time it makes it to your desk, it's probably a good deal, but also maybe not. Maybe you catch it, maybe you can tweak it or whatever. But by screening off some of the stuff that could just fall off the table real easy, that's because it's obviously not a bad deal. You don't have to waste your time evaluating something that's going to lead to a zero. It's going to lead to no money because it's not a deal. I find that I try and limit the amount of time on determining yes or no on something that I should have somebody else screen out a lot of the obvious no's, and that comes from developing what exactly my protocol is. Like I tell realtors, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And so if it doesn't match this, then it's a no. And so I don't have to spend a lot of my time looking at something and then telling a realtor no. They already know what I'm going to say no to.
Absolutely. Yeah. There may be 200 deals that come across my desk before I find one that's, hopefully 109 of those have been screened. Agents that are bringing me the deals, the wholesalers that are bringing me the deals, and my project manager. So ultimately I have 5 that come to me that look like decent deals, and I only have to look at 5 deals before I say yes to one of them.
Yeah, no, I know. And I know that there's a lot of mantras out there. Like you should look at 100 deals before you say yeah. And maybe in the beginning, you probably should to sharpen your saw to get really good at looking at deals. But once you've done this for a while, you really shouldn't be looking at 100 deals to get to your yes. You really got to define your criteria to the point where the 90 of those 100 fall off automatically because of your criteria or because the team you've built to look at that stuff already. So
exactly.
That's awesome. So tell me how do people find out more about you, about your book, and if they really want to get more of what you have to offer with regards to the knowledge you put out there to the marketplace, how do they tap into that?
Yeah, so I love Facebook. I post a lot on Facebook. I try and have informative posts on Facebook. but I have great conversations and I do a lot of networking on Facebook. So anybody who wants to connect with me on Facebook, my username on Facebook is J Scott Investor, letter J, Scott Investor. So hit me up on Facebook. My website, 123flip.com. And if you're interested in, I have
the number 123, the numbers 1, 2, and then 3, flip.com. Okay, cool.
And if you go to that website, I don't sell anything, no upsell there, but I have from the first 50 deals I did back in like 2008, 9, 10, I have basically all the gory details for my first 50 deals. You can see the numbers down to the penny. You can see pictures, videos, blog posts. I basically tried to capture all the nitty-gritty details for my first 50 deals just as a diary.
I'm probably, there's plenty of good horror stories out there. Great stories and words of caution, I would think, in that list is too, right? And
all the mistakes I made for the first couple of years.
Great. I tell people about my mistakes so they don't have to make them too. You know, it's just a philanthropic thing. So Jay, how do they get a hold of some of the books you've got out there? I know you've got a few books on the market that folks might want to check out. How can they find those?
Yeah. So currently have 4 books. First one, the book on flipping houses, and the book on estimating rehab costs were the first 2 books I wrote about 6 years ago. And anybody that's looking to get into flipping houses or wants to learn about how to create a methodology or how to learn the methodology for estimating rehab costs, check out those 2 books. Last year, Mark Ferguson, a good friend of mine, and my wife, Carol Scott, and I released a book called The Book on Negotiating Real Estate, which is actually out of print for the next month or so. We have a big announcement there. We're switching publishers. So we'll be re-releasing the book on negotiating real estate in a few weeks. And just last week, I released a book called Recession-Proof Real Estate Investing, which talks all about the economy, economic cycles, and how we as real estate investors should be modifying our business, modifying our strategies and our tactics to prepare for the upcoming change, the upcoming shift in the economy, and then all the subsequent shifts in the economy over the entire economic cycle.
Right. So you've put a lot of knowledge. Was that?
Yeah. For anybody that's interested in any of those books, biggerpocket.com sells them all, and all available on Amazon as well.
Okay, great. So they should check that out. You've put a lot of knowledge out there on the marketplace. I appreciate you for doing that. You've learned a lot in the business. And guys, you should really check out, go to Jay's website, check out the books that Jay put out there. I assume they can get them on audio, Kindle, or on a hard copy if they'd like. And that. So thank you, Jay, for putting this out there. We'll hopefully bring in Jay in for a few more interviews on the YouTube page in the future. So check those out as well. And I'll be seeing Jay face-to-face this weekend, so maybe I might be able to rope him into doing a face-to-face video, just he and I sitting together so you can see us in the same room. So, yeah, right. Cool. So thank you, Jay. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's interview. And be sure to read the show notes for some more information on Jay. We'll be sure to drop those in there. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great, profitable week.